Hey friends, it's that time again. It's time for some development, and today we are taking a look at getting all of our soft references done for saving. So this here is the piece of code that we require, right? And we need to add it. I've already added it to our miner and refiner. And in our smelter, I've set it up as well, but we need to set up our soft references when we set the output spliner. Okay, so we're going to look for our output spliner, and we're going to set our soft reference here. Okay, so we basically grab this, set it, pull this in, then we can drag that up, pull this in, drag this in, and what we shall do is we shall drag these down. We'll pull that into there to tidy it up, save it, and this is our conveyor out. Now our conveyor in, we've got to find the references and where we set it. What we do is soft conveyor in, set it, and we join it up here, and this is basically what we need to do to set up our saving. Okay, so now that that's done, we can now go to our fabricator, and that's going to be slightly different, though not that much different. So we set up a variable and we call it soft output spliner, and we set it to BP spliner, except we set it to the soft object reference. Then we duplicate it and we call this conveyor in, and this one is going to have two. Hi, Game the Bix Studio, how you doing, mate? How are you this fine day? Right, so what we've got to do is we've got to actually create two of these. So we're going to duplicate this again. Right, now these should all be saved so that they get saved within our EMS. Make sure these are all saved. And in fact, while we are at it, what I really need to do here is make sure that these are also saved. That's saved, so that's fine. That's saved, that's fine. Okay, so if we go back to our fabricator, right, we can now do our paste. Well, thank you for thanking me that I helped with something, though I'm not sure what I helped with. Right, so we basically need to actually do this as well. So we need to get this, and we need to set this. Right, so this is setting a possible second conveyor input. I'm not too sure what I helped with. You can let me know, Game Debix, what I helped with, if you like. Right, we're going to drag these up a bit, and then what we're going to do is basically the same thing as we did before. We're going to find the references to our output spliner. Right, and we're looking for the set here, which is there, and we know that we're basically going to do that, and we're going to do that. We're going to drag these together, pull this down, then we are going to set this. Now, as I said, this might not make any sense, but this is so that it will work with Easy Multisave, because Easy Multisave will not save hard references. It will only save soft ones, and this is why we save this soft reference to this, and then we basically exchange back the soft reference to the hard reference. Well, to be fair, this was information given to me by the guys that did the guy that did Easy Multisave, right? When I explained to him my problem, where I've got references to other objects that are created in the game, he was basically saying that you can't have hard references, you've got to have soft references. So, as I said, basically what I'm doing is when I create the reference in the game, I create it as both a hard reference and a soft reference, so that the hard reference is used within the game, but the soft reference is used to save it. Okay? And that's basically how I do it. So, what we've got to do here is find the set here. And that's quite handy, because all we need to do now is drag this in. Okay, we don't do that. We do this one, and we set it. Then we grab this one in and set it. Right. And the trash guys are here, which means they're going to make a lot of noise probably. Right, we drag that in there. We save that, and that should be us, in theory. I normally try to zoom unless I'm doing stuff that is easier to do out of zoom, because even I can't see it at that point. I know what to connect, so I'm just basically doing that, right? So this one here, basically when we finish a spline, we basically click on a building, right? And we set the conveyor in on the building, and then we set the soft reference for that building, right? So I shall show you what I mean by all of this now. When we'll do a save all. Right. Okay, so what I'm probably going to have to do here is, or what I'd be best doing, is to delete all my save games again, even though I don't think I've got that many. Nope, not got any. So that's cool. Right, now I shall show you what I mean by all of this. As I said, it doesn't really make any sense unless you've been following along the last couple of nights, right, when I've started working on this. And the whole point of this is to get the saving back up and running. So I'll show you in a second what this looks like. Right, so that's copper. And we don't want copper, really. Preferable. Right. So, if I look at the refiner, right, you'll notice at the moment conveyor out, conveyor in, soft output, soft input, blah blah blah, output spliner is all nothing. Now that's the way they should be right now, okay? And that's because we don't have a connection. But this is the way it looked upon loading back up, because it wasn't loading back in the correct references to what it was connected to before. Okay, so for example, that's also copper ore, so that's no good to us. So we really want a bauxite if possible, but in the meantime we shall select iron ore, and for this we shall select iron sheet, and that's also copper, which is a pain in the butt. And it's not letting me do that because all of the drones are out. Right. Okay, we can check what this is. It's another copper. Aren't we having a lot of luck with the copper? It'd almost be better just starting a new one. Right, we've got bauxite this time, so we can join that up. Okay, so as you can see, our refiner has no references at the moment, right, which is correct. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We shall join a fabricator, and just to finish it off, we've not done this one yet, we can do it though. Right, and with this we can join up and that's going to be research, and then we can select, let's say, mining, and we can spin that around, right, so we're ready to go. So we'll spin this around just for a laugh, and conveyor belt, and for some reason, okay. So that's now joined up. So you can now see that this conveyor in is BP spliner, BP spliner, the output is nothing. That's correct because this is the output, okay? So if we join this up and join this to here, we now have BP spliner 1, BP spliner 1, okay? And now, if we save it and stop it, and then press play again and continue, then, then our refiner should have, and it hasn't. You see that? It's not got the output spliner. Okay, so that's a problem. So we need to fix that somehow. It's interesting. That's the spliner. Go to refiner. And that's definitely set to save. And that's definitely set to save. So what we need to do is add a breakpoint here. And find out if we have this or not. Right? And it's not actually running this, which of course means that this isn't getting set. Okay. And that's kind of bizarre. So if we click on our refiner again, right? It says is saved by EMS is true. Right? So that would suggest that it's not even getting to here. And if it's not getting to there, then obviously we've got a problem. So we'll add a breakpoint here. Right, we're here. And we shall step over, step over, step over. And that says false. How can that be true? How can that be false? How can that be false when it says true? Okay, well, I know why it can happen. If we put a delay in here, this might actually solve the problem. Now we have to put a delay in for a good reason. That good reason is that EMS takes a bit of time to load everything up, right? So you've got to wait while everything round about it is loading and all the variables are loaded in, right? So we're going to try this again. And this time it's true. You see how that delay just fixed it? And we can just resume now. And we should see that our refiner, all of our references are set now properly. And we can check our, well, this is our refiner, but we need to check our smelter. So what have we got? Nothing. Right, so basically I'm going to go with, it's going to be the same issue. Right? So what we can do here is copy this, go to the smelter, right, go back to our begin play, and then this part needs to wait for a delay. Alright. And basically we're going to have to do the same with the fabricator. Right, so this part here needs to move out a bit. Then we can paste this in. Save that. Okay. And now if we run it, right, disable that, resume, disable that, resume, resume, and if we now click on our smelter, you'll notice we've got BP spliner 1. Right, we haven't got an output, which is correct because we don't have an output yet, but if we add this, then we now have our output. And we're okay with that. Then we can add this in, but the research one isn't set up yet, which won't take long to be fair. Then what we can do is we can save that. Okay. Now the interesting thing here is I'm going to save this again right here, right? And we know that there should be like a output object here and here. There should be a barrel. And there we go, there they are. So that's working. So those are getting placed back on their conveyor belt at the right point. So that's all working cool. And if we check the smelter now, we have splitter 2, splitter 1, output is splitter 2, and if we check our fabricator, apparently we're not showing anything in our fabricator. We've got splitter output spliner 3, which is right again. So that's cool. That's all working exactly how we want it to. Right. So now what we actually need to do is set up our research station. We'll have to do our research and our storage. Right. So this is only going to be conveyor in, right? Because research does not have an output. Okay. So again, it's going to be BP spliner, and it's going to be soft reference. Okay, and it's going to be saved. And then in here, we're going to be looking for the set again. And that's not here. Interesting. And this is going to actually be on the spline itself. Right, so I'm getting the feeling here that the research is an issue. Well, that's a handy thing to do. Right, that's okay. And in this case, we want to actually view these, and we're going to get that, and we're going to set that. So we basically do that, drag that up, plug it in, and save that. And that should be good. But the thing is here that I'm interested in is is there's something here that's not quite right. Right. And I want to see what's going on here, because there's something not right. There's something not right at all. Right, if I go back to the research station, right, we want to have a look here. And it's this box collision and plane. Right, and it's this clicked on. And it's basically finished the spline. Now, this value here should be actually set to the current spliner, right? But I don't know if this is getting set and finish the spline. Right? It's got the end actor there. Now, what is it doing with that end actor? That is the point. And here it's doing it here. So it's setting the end actor. But it's not setting the spline. So this is okay. I'm okay with this. Right? But we need to do one more thing in the research station. In here, we're going to have to drag this down a bit, and we're going to have to set the conveyor in. Okay. And we're going to straighten to reroute node. And then we're going to set soft conveyor in. Okay. And then we join them all up. We join that up. And we can basically put that there. Save that. Right, that should be that. So that is the miner, the refiner, the smelter, and the fabricator all done. We don't need to do the metalworks. I'm not doing anything with the metalworks, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete it and then recreate it as a copy of either the refiner or the smelter, because they should be the same, right? They should be a direct copy, except it's going to be set up as a metalworks, so it's basically going to have the same code as these other ones, right? So that is all that done. So now what we want to do is we want to create a new game. We'll call it test 2, and that's because our research probably wouldn't be legit anymore. It would be kind of weird. So we just basically create our buildings again and do this stuff again. But now our stuff should be working better. And when we join everything up, everything should actually be referenced correctly when we load it back up. Okay, and that's copper ore, so that's no good to us. And in the meantime, we can actually join these ones up. Right, we can set our stuff up for mining again. And we need to see what this is. I'll bet you it's copper ore again. Yep, that's just my luck, really. Okay. And we're not allowed to do that because all the drones are out. And that's copper ore again. And I'll tell you what, we'll just do one there. And that's bauxite, so that's ideal. Right, so we can take it from here. And we can make our conveyor belt, and that's it available. And there we go, we can now save it. Right, and now we can stop it and continue, and there we go. Right, now the interesting parts is going to be to check out the research lab, research station, and we have the correct references there. Then we need them for the fabricator, so check that. Fabricator, spliner 2, we don't see all of them, but we're going to assume that they're right. And the next one is the smelter. And we've got all the right stuff there. And finally, the refiner. And everything is right there. So there we go, it's working well. Now the thing now is to check that it's actually working. Right, what I did there was basically added workers to all of my buildings. Right, so we should now start getting some stuff out. And there we go. Right, and this is going to take a bit more, I think. So that's definitely outputting, that's definitely outputting. This is definitely outputting. And we should start getting stuff out here. So for those watching that have never seen this before, this is bauxite coming into the refinery and it's outputting iron ore. Then the iron ore is going into the smelter and it's creating iron sheets. The iron sheets are going into the fabricator and creating research type 1. Then the research type 1 is going into the research station and it is currently researching mining, which we selected a minute ago. Okay. And as you can see there, there's another one. And we can see that this is now progressing. Okay, so I'm going to go grab a break and a drink of orange. Check out the description, hit the likes and subscribe buttons, check out on Patreon, my previous game on Steam. You can also join Discord, my personal Discord. And I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. Okay guys, we're back. So there's something I want to try here which is going to be a bit different. But what I want to do in the meantime is I'm going to save that, right? And then I'm going to check what is on the line when we restart. Everything, that's perfect. Right, now that isn't by chance. I did have to do all the stuff for these things, right? And it looks like we have ran out of, yeah. Now, some of these things have stopped. Now, here we have another issue that everything has stopped. Now, what we need to do here is look at the refiner first. And it says allowed to process, right? So why is it not allowing anything out is the question. Okay. So we need to have a look at our process. In fact, we need to have a look at our comp out, right? Because it's our component out that's not putting stuff on right. So right, so we have a building, we don't have an output spliner. Right, so it says we don't have an output spliner, but we have a miner. Right, so that suggests that the miner does not have an output spliner. Right, so let's just check on that. Well, that can actually be true. Right, so what I shall do is I'm going to delete that and that and that. Then we're going to change mode. Right, so the only one that's actually outputting at the moment, and funnily enough, right, so this is the refiner and we have got a spliner. Right, and it is viable. And is this true or false? That is the question. It's true. We step over. And we have nothing in our S output. right? If it's great, so it's saying that we have nothing, okay? So everything's good apart from our comp output is saying that we have nothing, okay? So we need our refiner, and we need to have a look at our comp output and the quantity is 0, right? So it would appear that we ain't processing. Yep, we're not processing for some reason. And that's okay, all of that's okay. So we want to stop this for now, right? And look at I'm just wondering if well, in the comp output, right, so if we continue and we look at the comp output, it doesn't say that this is full, it doesn't say that this is full, right? Now it's saying restart, right? And it's getting that fired off all the time, but our process has stopped, right? Now the interesting thing here is I think this is firing too early. Right, and basically the process is being stopped, right? Now I can only I can only suggest one of these is being a hit. Right? But incredibly they're not. And for some reason, here's a set process, right? Okay, we're going to do something here, right? What we're going to do is this set process, we're going to move it okay, and we're going to move it to the end of here. So if that's false, we do it here, then we duplicate it, and then we do it here. Okay. And now we're getting our process. Okay. So we can step over, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, rock and roll. Okay. And now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do the same for each of the different things, right? So when we set the process, we're setting it there, which is correct. Then for the smelter, we're going to basically do the same, right? Right, and we basically remove it from here, and then this begins to make a bit more sense. Right, so we've done the refiner, now we can do the fabricator. We can join that to there. That's all good. We can delete that, and that can go in there, and we can save that. And then in our research station, I think we're okay with the research station. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. so now our stuff should keep going basically. And yep, everything seems to be keeping going as intended. Rock and roll. So that's a good thing. Right. But the interesting thing is, are we actually? We don't know we're not. So we do have to do something. With the researching. Right, there's something going on with the researching that it's not doing its thing. So we need to have a look at that. And this is the research station. And what we need to see is why it is not basically doing the research. And we're going to stop it for now because we are doing BPC research. Right. But we do have to have a look at our research component. And that's been saved. We'll save that. That can be right. That's going to have to be saved, and that's going to have to be saved. Okay. Now the interesting part you see, this isn't actually setting any research. Right, so what we're actually going to have to do here is we're going to have to pass right, so we're doing those things, so that's fine. Right, so now what we need to say is is EMS save. And that's really, okay. So what we've actually got to say is, get this, then is EM get that, then if it is saved, we branch, and if it's true, we delay, then we set process, and if it's false we do nothing. So we can do that and that, and we can pop that there and pop that here. Right, we can add a breakpoint, save it, and then run it again, and hopefully this will solve the research problem. Now that says false, and what we should actually do is put the delay first, so that we've loaded up this thing here. So we can drag that to there, or this to here. And then we can do that. Now we can press play, continue, and we should get to here. The research station says true, and we go. Okay. So now this is researching, and we should continue researching when something goes into it, which it should have done. And apparently we're not doing anything. Apparently resume that. Right, and we want to see what the time is for this. 0. So there's something wrong here. So that's 1. and that's 1. Right. And we've got nothing for our current research. Okay. So our controller, I can only assume that our controller does not have a current research. Okay, so I can only assume that it's not getting saved. Which is plausible. It does say saved though. Interesting. Okay, we're going to try something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue, and we're going to resume, right, and we're going to reset, and it's not letting us for whatever reason. And I can only assume. Right, we'll let that run for a minute, right? And we'll say research. Right, and we've got a research station, right? And if we look at our BPC research, it's not going to show us jack. Okay, we can stop that for now. And we can show this. And in our controller, we're already showing that. Right, we're not bored about that or that or that. Okay. But we do want to see well, that's okay. Right, so if we continue this, right, we can look at our research. And we've got nothing there, which is fine because the thing we're really interested in is BPC research. And we've got mine in 1. And that's fine. But this has went a bit wild. apparently. Alright, so we're going to need to do a bit of investigation at this one because this seems a bit weird. Almost certainly seems a bit weird. It should not have those two members. And I think the easiest and best way to do this is basically to start again. But we're going to do that after we have a small break. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit the like and subscribe. Check out the description for Discord and Patreon and my previous game, which is on Steam, which is called FTD2. And I shall be back very, very shortly. So don't go anywhere, guys. Okay guys, we're back. So let's take a look at the issue here. And I think what the issue is, it's either here, sorry, not here. It's either here well, actually, funnily enough, it can't be here either. So it basically has to be when we set this. Right? It has to be in here. And it literally, hi Tryhard Studio, welcome back. I think you've been here before, and it's got to be in here. How's it going for you today, Tryhard? Oh, right, okay. So, I think, right, here's what I think. I think that what we're going to see, right, I'll show you in it. I'll show you first, right? So we're going to resume that for now, right? And we're going to disable that. And this thing here, when we look at our BPC research, this here should not have two requirements, okay? Or at least the current progress should certainly not have these two things here. I don't think you want to hear it in here, what my opinion is. I don't want to be too negative about it. So this requirements is fine, but this part is not fine. This current progress is not fine, right? Now, and the thing is, I need to find out where this is being set. Okay, so I need to know if this is getting set, which I don't think it is, and then I need to again see what is going on with this, right? In short, Tryhard, right? I'll try to be diplomatic about it. It's a generic shooter, right? That was the first thing. The second thing that stood out to me was that when you walked out into the open, a plane fell out of the sky with absolutely zero context, right? So why is a plane falling out of the sky? It doesn't make any sense. Next thing was the AI appears to be as stupid as it can possibly get. Right? Because you ran into a room and basically there was about 20 guys there and none of them shot you. None of them. Which is a bit hard to believe. Next thing was there's too much blood on the floor. It just doesn't look right. It's like every time somebody gets shot, there isn't blood absolutely splattered everywhere. That just doesn't happen. Right? Unless, of course, you're a serial killer and want to basically make it so that there's blood everywhere, right? But in a gunfight, there isn't blood everywhere. So it kind of fails my realism test on that one. But I would say the biggest problem is it's generic. It's just a shooter, right? What? So, So you need some sort of context, you need some sort of story that why things are happening, because without that, things just happen, right? For no reason, or no apparent reason, like planes falling out of the sky for unknown reasons. Right? You'll notice that there's a war going on right now, and there's not a lot of planes dropping out of the sky. And I believe in your game it was a passenger plane, or what looked like a passenger plane, so that makes it kind of even worse. Because why would a passenger plane be flying in a war zone? So again, it's the plausibility of what's happening on the screen that's kind of weird to me. Right, we'll set that up. And we did set that up. Yeah, but your problem is, as I told you before, it's a generic shooter. Right, what makes it different from anything else? There's a billion generic shooters out there, and yours just makes it 1,000,000,001. Right, so you need to make it in some way different from all the rest, and it doesn't look any different to any other generic shooter that I've ever seen. Oh, Streamlabs having a moment there. Well, here's the other question. Is it supposed to be multiplayer or is it single player? Or both? Right, so what we want to do here is we want to look at our research, right? And now, when we click on this has still got 2 members. I don't understand why. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at our controller and see what it says. Right? And here's our struct current progress. And it has only got 1. Right? So, why is it different? Is the question. Right? Why is it different? And you could only assume right, when we add this in, that it's going to be 2 things. Now this is going up. Right, so what we'll do is we'll wait until this is complete. Then we'll set a new research and see what actually is going on. Right? Now there is our research complete, right? And this has now been reset to nothing. Okay, so if we set it again to refining, right? This current research is 1. Okay. Now we could cheat here, I believe. We could cheat. Right. And we could resume that, and it's doing it again for whatever reason. Now we could easily fix this. Right, I'm going to forget that for now. But what we could do is we could say add unique, right? And that would go to there and there. And that would actually fix the problem. I'm not 100% happy about it. We're going to dismiss that. We're going to run it again. Don't know which number we're on, but we'll go with test 4. Yeah, try hard. You need to tell me if it's going to be multiplayer or it's going to be single player. That's for a kickoff, right? Because that changes things a lot. But it boils down to the same thing that I've told you before. You've got to do a menu. I'm not really that impressed with any sort of demo gameplay unless you can show me a menu, right? And that's even more important in multiplayer games, because doing the multiplayer menu is no easy task. That's copper ore. And not only is it no easy task, it's probably harder than anything that you've done up until now. Right, so that's bauxite. And save that. So if we go into our controller now, and we've got our research type 1, and now if we go to our research station and BPC research, we've got the right thing there. Right, but the interesting thing from our point of view is well, number one, why that's suddenly popped up. So what we want to do, we've set this and we want to make sure this continues. Right. And we want to check this as well. And we can switch this off for now, but we definitely want to see what it's getting set to. Right, so we need to look at our current research. So it's working. Right, what we can do is we can speed this up. Right. And there it's going up. That's fine. Speed it up again. Right, where are we? Well, we're waiting on one more, which is coming in. Right, and then what we've got to do is we've got to reset it and then save it and then restart it and find out why our stuff isn't working. Right, so there it's complete. So now we can do our refining. Right. Then step over, and this is 0. So that's weird. Right, now it's done at that time. Okay. So we save that, then we stop it, then we continue it, and the interesting thing is that we have set process. Right. And that's 10. So now we can actually set this. And we should be able to right, and now yeah, we've started refining again, so that's good. Right, so we've got a lot of the saving and all of that stuff working. Everything seems good, and I think that's a good place to leave it for today. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe and like buttons. If you want to check out more, go to the description for my Discord. You're welcome to join. And if you want to support the channel, you can check out Patreon and my game on Steam, and even just adding it to your wish list helps in the Steam algorithm, so that doesn't cost you anything. And I shall catch you this evening at 8 PM Central. Bye bye for now.